Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today bringing another side-by-side comparison, and this is the Nexus 5 versus the Galaxy S4. Two of the most popular Android devices out there on the market easily for this past year. And today we're going to see which one really is better and which one you should really go with. Let's check them out and see which one is the best. Now when it comes to look and feel, the Nexus is definitely a different style. You have a very soft touch backing of, they're both plastic, but this one is a soft touch backing and a matte finish, so you don't get any fingerprints on it and no reflection on it. Different kind of camera, but the nice thing about it is that it does have image stabilization. I do prefer the black just because the white quickly gets dirty. I mean, you can just see it just not as, like, at least for me, when I want white, I want bright white instead of kind of an off-white, which is more like an ivory, I would say. In terms of the front, I like this little nice part here because you have the white one. Your earpiece is white as well, and no buttons, physical buttons. You have a touchscreen buttons. When it comes to the S4, we have a traditional backing. Of course, mine is a custom one, but this is the one that it comes with. Very reflective, very flimsy, you could say. Just, very prone to fingerprints. Something I got rid of right away, and I replaced with a glass backing. Now, this is one thing to put in the S4's favor: the fact that you can customize the backs, because this backing, of course, is removable, and that backing is not. On the front side, you have the home button and the Samsung logo at the top with the earpiece grill. And right here, of course, you have your screen and menu and back buttons. Overall, for look and feel, I would have to give it to the Nexus. Although both are made of plastic, this I just do like the fact that it's a matte finish, and it's very simple. It doesn't take like any really innovative steps. But neither really did the S4 compared to the S3 in terms of like making it look different. So overall, the Nexus is the choice to go with. Now when it comes to web browsing, the first thing we always take a look at are the two screens. Now when we take a look at these two screens, they are very similar but yet very different. You have both 1080p screens on there. The Nexus 5 has a slightly above pixels per inch. However, it actually has less pixels per inch of actual screen real estate when you'd have the back, home, and menu button. However, you do not have that if you changed the web browser to the full browsing mode, which gets rid of that, which then makes it more, or when watching a movie. Now, these do have different screens, IPS LCD versus Super AMOLED. What does that mean for these two displays? Well, the LCD will give you better whites and be a little bit brighter when you go outside. The Super AMOLED will give you better blacks and give you the longer battery life. So, now that we've got that out of the way, let's actually check out their speed. Now this is a very heavy website. We always use this website though simply because of the fact that we want to see exactly how good each one does with the same internet connection at a very heavy website base. So both are loading fairly quick. And now it's all the last little details. It always takes a little bit longer. And the S4 takes it by, let's see how long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we have it. Oops. Now, it was on Wi-Fi a second ago. It just jumped to 4G for some reason. The Wi-Fi must have closed it, but let's actually check now in the response. So, both are pretty good with their response, no kind of lag there. And pinch to zoom is good on both. Let's see a double tap. both are pretty good. Don't really see a problem with either device in terms of web browsing for either one. Honestly, we will call this one a tie just because both are good for web browsing. Neither one is bad per se compared to the other. Both are really good, and both will be really good quality of your screen, of course. So this one will be a tie. Now when it comes to music, the first thing we look at is speaker placement. So on the Nexus 5 right here, you do have a bottom speaker right here and a secondary speaker, or at least you think it's a speaker, but it's a mic. I do think this is kind of deceptive. I know other manufacturers do it, but I just wish they would stop. It makes it look like you have two speakers when you don't. You have one speaker coming out of there. The S4 though is a worse speaker placement on the back, which does get muffled up when you put it down. So let's see how these two compare. First the Nexus, then the S4, then back and forth.
Curtain goes down, I remain the same. But all that money don't equal the price of fame. From LA to New York, Seattle to the Bay. West Palm, night flights to Oahu, night flights to Oahu. We can lay it down Vegas, they know where we stay. Last show in Cali, headed out to the state. Now we clouds. Hit my pops to pick me up, and he said he was proud. King shit with a beanie on instead of a crown. Yeah, counting all my blessings. Shout out to the Most High. Started from the bottom, now I'm sitting at the Most High. Chiefs is to the business, now I'm literally so fly. Literally so fly, motivated by my brokers. Guess that's why they call it coach, right? Yeah. Back when I was broke, I was asking why I'd go through all this trouble.
So hopefully you could hear that fine. The S4 just really is the better sound quality. Now again, if you lay them both flat, the Nexus will have the advantage then. But when you're listening to just music, say if you have it out or if you have it in your hands, it's going to be sound much better on the S4. Now when it comes to watching movies, whether it be YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, whatever you want to watch, you do have to take a good look at the screens. So for that reason, we're going to take a look at see if these two screens play back the same video. If you are wondering why it's a Samsung video, it's because I know it won't get flagged. All right, let's go ahead and see. Okay, so really what it comes down to is these two are really both going to be obviously very clear easily on both of them. Overall, I can't pick one or the other. The AMOLED is obviously going to give you a more vibrant look if you put it on adaptive screen. However, if you turn it to photo quality, it will give you a more realistic look. As compared to the LCD IPS screen. It really is just going to be a preference, so therefore I do call it a draw. Some people will like the LCD with just its native neutral colors, even though this particular one does give a good vibrancy because it is LG making the screen, as whereas the Samsung, of course the AMOLED is very vibrant. So it both going to be great, and I'll call this one a draw. Now when it comes to photo quality, this is going to be a 13 megapixel versus an 8 megapixel. So in terms of detail, we kind of expect the S4 to take it a little bit better, but let's take a look. The one thing the Nexus 5 does have is it has optical image stabilization, which might play a role. So let's see the differences. Definitely when we double tap on here, we're going to see a lot better clarity on this one versus here, where it's just faded and doesn't look as clear. But that's because with the Nexus 5, you really should always take a photo using HDR+. If you look at the two differences, how washed out this is, and just how it doesn't handle color very well compared to this, it's dramatically better. So on here, you can kind of get a better sense of how the quality really is in comparison. And on the 2, it does show very well, although this one, of course, you can see a bit more texture than you can on here, and that's just because of the megapixel difference. Now when we go to outdoor visibility at night, which is going to be again a crucial one, we have this one on auto night detection for the S4, and on this one, this is regular auto versus the HDR one. Again, these are just kind of overly washed out on these. It really isn't going to be as clear as it would normally be for a great low light photo. And then far away, it just handles it even worse. It's just completely washed out, and it's hard to see anything on it whatsoever. So not the best again with its low light, but that is one thing that the S4 does very well. Just to give you an idea, this is what it looks like on auto, and this was its auto night detection. So as you can see, the street is a lot brighter. Everything looks a lot more brighter because it's letting more light through. Now when it comes to no light, however, or very minimal light, I would say that the Nexus actually does a little bit better in terms of letting more light through, as where the S4 gives you a little bit better color representation. In terms of detail, neither are going to be great at it, as we can see right here. Again, just a little bit better color on here and a little bit more light on here. Now with the flash though, easily the S4 is going to be the better with the flash. It just it's a lot more truer to what you actually see, as where this just kind of gives you a completely washed out look to it. Now, low light with a person is obviously one of the biggest things we like to do with our cameras. You know, taking photos at night and everything like that. And with these two devices, it definitely has a category for that in both places. So for the S4, first they took a photo of how dark it actually is. So you can see it's very dark inside this. We have a closet with no light whatsoever, and it's very dark with it. However, once we turn auto night detection on, we get a huge difference. Now, which one is the better of the two? This was with the night mode that the Nexus 5 provides, and this is with the auto night detection. So between these two, the Nexus 5 again is letting through more light, but definitely a lot more noise. You can see a lot of noise just around the person as well as around here. The S4 has no noise whatsoever really, but you're definitely just not getting the same light being let through. In terms of clarity, they're both similar. This one, again, giving more depth because of its color, and this one just really letting a lot more light through, so it just looks brighter. Night detection is going to be better than their HDR mode, however, though, which increases the noise a lot more in comparison. So overall, I would rate these cameras actually very similar, although overall, for most of your photo taking needs, the S4 will be slightly better. So for that reason, I do give the camera quality to the S4. Now when it comes to gaming, this is, for the most part, open and shut case. Although both have great screens and great processors, the Nexus 5 just has a much better one. It's going to have the better processor, the Snapdragon 800 versus Snapdragon 600, and it's going to have the Adreno 330 graphics card, which is definitely superior to the 320. Overall, you're just really going to get a much better gaming experience with the Nexus 5, and it doesn't lag or stutter at all. So for that reason, I will go with the Nexus 5 for the better gaming experience. Now, when it comes to the battery life for these two devices, they are rated to be very similar in terms of actual talk time. However, in terms of standby time, you are going to get a bit of a difference here. The standby time on the Samsung devices are generally some of the top ones out on the market. Standby is just one thing that they do very well. In terms of the Nexus, that's unfortunately one of the biggest complaints about this device has been the battery life. That before I used it and when I used it, I agree. Battery life is just not ideal, And although they are rated similar in terms of talk time, even in regular day-to-day usage, I found this draining not only during standby time more, but also in just regular usage. Keep in mind, I never use the power saving feature of the Samsung that will give your battery about 2 to 3 hours longer. So for those reasons, your battery life will be better with the S4 comparing to the Nexus 5. Now when it comes to the extras, this is just going to be another place that the Nexus is not going to shine. Simply for the fact that with the Nexus, what you do have is what you get. So you do have 16 or 32 gigs of storage built into it. You have a USB out, which can give you MHL capability, but that's about it. On the Samsung, you do have a couple of additions. For one, noting you do have an IR blaster. Even though KitKat offers IR software, you cannot obviously utilize it with that device, whereas this one you can. Of course, you do have a removable backing, which is a huge plus because you can always take out the battery, add bigger ones if you wish, or, of course, add on more storage, adding up to 64 gigs. So for that reason, in terms of extras, Samsung will take it in the overall experience. Especially keeping in mind that with the Samsung, you really can have the launcher experience and make your device into a Nexus for all these software enhancements like OK Google and other things like that. So because of that reason, I will give the extras to the S4. Now, when it comes to price point, this is obviously the biggest strength by far of the Nexus 5. That is because the Nexus 5, for the 16 gig model, you can get it for $349, or for the 32 gig model, you can get it for $399. Now, the one problem with this is the availability. We have a 3 to 4 week availability right now for these 16 gigs, so it is a rather long wait. However, for the Nexus 5, you do have literally about half the price point. You're talking about $349 compared to $639. So with a little bit $50 difference, you would have essentially two Nexus 5s for spending $639 for a S4 right out. So for that reason, honestly, it's one of the best reasons to get a Nexus 5. Even if you compare the 449 model, that's still almost, which is the T-Mobile and Sprint model, that is still going to run you $200 less than you would be paying with either of the carriers on the S4. So for that reason, if you do want to get obviously the best bang for your buck, it is easily going to be the Nexus. Now let's add them up and see who won. When it comes to look and feel, the Nexus 5 will take it. Just better plastic material for it, although it is noted that the S4 can be swapped out with the back covers. When it comes to web browsing, both are going to just be great at web browsing. Both are very quick to respond, very good at movement, and you're just not going to have a bad experience with either one. When it comes to music, of course, the S4 just has a better speaker, and just it sounds definitely better when it comes to sound quality coming from the built-in speaker. When it comes to movie watching experience, it really is a preference. Yes, there is AMOLED versus LCD, but that is another debate for another time. So it really depends on you. Both screens are great for watching movies. When it comes to the photo quality, overall in our photos, we just found it a bit better with the S4 for more instances. Overall, more times, it just had a little bit better quality, and especially better quality when using the flash, which is what we most use it for in night shots. When it comes to gaming, the Nexus 5 is easily going to take it. Just a much better processor and graphics card. Just does not stutter on any games whatsoever, and it is great for gaming. When it comes to battery life, the S4 will take it. It's just going to have a better overall battery life, not only in standby time, but in day-to-day use. You are going to get a better battery life. Not to mention that, of course, it does have removable battery life. When it comes to extras, the S4 does have them, of course. You have the ability to have an IR blaster built in, have things like split screen, have things like removable battery, and add-on storage. So for that, the S4 will take the extras category. When it comes to the price point, obviously the Nexus 5, you can almost get 2 Nexus 5s for the price of one S4. That's a lot to say for devices, which is definitely cannot be taken lightly, and one of the main reasons why people will choose the Nexus 5 over the S4. So overall, when we tally them all up, it does go to the S4. This is a 1-point category difference, and again, we have 2 tiebreakers on web browsing and movies, so if either one would have taken it on the Nexus, we would have had a tie or the Nexus win. Overall, obviously, it's going to be a choice that you will make. Most people, I would say in day-to-day usage, do pick the S4 overall, not because of its popularity only, although that does have a lot to do with it, but because of its great camera, battery life, and extras. The Nexus, most people are going to choose for its nice look and feel, its great gaming experience, and overall user interface, as well as its price point. So, in all, it did come down to the categories, and it just matters which one you like better. Please give a thumbs up if you did like this video, and always, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.